right, happy Sunday, everyone. Today we're just going to show just a quick demo video of a new feature for Flight-IO that came out actually a couple days ago. Just haven't got around to recording a quick demo of it yet, so just going to be a really quick stream today. Really not even going to get into a flight, just going to show you how the new live passengers and baggage manifest feature works for adding a little bit more realism to your flights when prepping for a flight, boarding, and then also deboarding the plane. So let's jump into it. All right, so in the cockpit here, let me open up flight-IO. Should be able to see on the screen here. So we are not actually going to go through a full demo of how to use this tool. Check out my previous videos on that if you're interested in my YouTube channel under flight-IO. We're just going to jump into really getting started here. So I've already imported my config file. My SimBrief ID is in there, and we're going to go ahead and load our flight plan. I've already created a SimBrief flight plan as well. So I'm in the flight plan tab, going to go ahead and click load flight plan. And we can see our flight plan for today just populated, have the full thing here. This would normally be a flight from Boston to Miami. So now that I've done that, let me jump into flight stats. We can see all of our information has been populated here. We can see our boarding time is at about 1:50 p.m. and this is local time to your browser. So for me, it's Eastern Standard Time. That's in about 30 minutes. And then our departure, estimated arrival, estimated gate arrival have all been pulled in from SimBrief as well. If for any reason you don't use SimBrief, you can also manually enter these times if you just want to kind of make up some flight details. So you can always manually fill this in and adjust it as needed as well. The new text box you see down here is actually for the passengers. So this was pulled in from SimBrief as well, saying that we have about 186 passengers that are going to be on board today. So that's pre-populated. Let's next move over to the controller tab. And you'll see there's actually some new information here. One of them is our flight stats banner. This has been here, so I'm just going to turn that on. As usual, you can see at the top here our flight number, or our call sign, our to and from, arrival, destination, the boarding time, so our countdown timer for when we start boarding, and current status, so we're on time right now. And then we also have this show passenger stats in banner. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. Right now, everything's 0. It says we have 0 passengers checked in right now out of 186, and then 0 bags. So we're going to go ahead down to this passenger actions button and click begin check-ins. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And we'll give it a moment here. We should actually start seeing some come in. The way that this is actually set up is all of your passengers should start checking in by the time that we are ready for boarding. It kind of evens out the time. So you can see a couple of them have checked in now, and we actually have a few bags here. I'm going to close my browser for just a moment as well on the flight-IO window. And just so you can see, I have this banner on my stream here as well. So during my flight, I can actually keep an eye on who's checking in, baggage, things like that. But that's actually not it. This is kind of the quick view of it. Let's actually jump in. There's a new tab at the top here for passengers. And here you can see we have a lot more detail. We have some summary stats up here for who's not checked in, if they're boarding, seated, or deboarded. So all of your stats here out of how many passengers and what status they're in. And then also the checked bags. So passengers are allowed to check in up to 3 bags. That's just something, it's probably different between airlines, but we're just setting a standard of up to 3 bags for this since it's for simulation. So we can see that we have about 17 checked in so far. And of our flight manifest, we know a lot of people have already checked in their bags ahead of time or indicated that they're going to be providing checked bags. So we know we have at least 264 more to go. And then if we scroll down, you actually have an entire manifest here of all of your passengers. So just randomly generated names that'll show up, all of your seat numbers, Again, for this, the first iteration of this, it's not really based on the aircraft that you're flying, so the seat numbers may not match up perfectly with what's actually in your aircraft. And in future iterations, we'll probably make it more specific. Right now, this is modeled after like the pattern of an A320 or similar, with like the 3 seats on each row. But yeah, you'll be able to scroll down and see every single passenger, their name, their seat assignment, and then these statuses here also update live. Yeah, so that is pretty cool. You can always just come in here and kind of see who's checked in. So this person here in Andres Morales, they're checked in. They have 2 bags that are already checked in. So this will take a little while. I mean, you can see we're not really boarding up until for another 24 minutes. So these are going to slowly start trickling in. So at this point, we'd go ahead and do things like our pre-flight checks, things like that, start getting ready for boarding while this just goes in the background. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do this. And for right now, for the stream, it'll be live. For the video I'm going to release on this, I'll fast forward through this part. So yeah, I will check back with you guys once our boarding is complete, or sorry, our check-in is complete, and then we're ready for boarding. All right. Back in the cockpit. So we can see we have about 58 passengers checked in. So what I am going to do to speed this up a little bit, normally you would not have to do this, obviously. I continue getting the aircraft ready, but let's do this. We're going to jump in here. We're going to go to our controller. We are going to reset our passengers. So this button here will actually reset everything back to 0. You can actually see everything's blank now on the passengers tab. Sorry, I'm not sharing my browser. Let me open that up. Let me show you what I just did. So I went into flight stats, into the controller, and I clicked this reset passengers button, and that brings everything back to 0. Our passengers are now empty again. What I'm going to do is move this boarding time up a bit before I initiate that flight, the manifest. So let's say scheduled boarding, it's 1:32 right now. Let's change this. Let's make it in like 3 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna make that there, and then I'm gonna make the scheduled departure. It's gonna be about 10 minutes after that, just to kind of show. Normally it wouldn't be this quick, but so it's 2:20. We want it at 1:44. Okay, there we go. Let's go to controller, begin our check-ins again. So now, as you can see up here on the banner, it's checking in really quick because it knows it only has a couple minutes, and it's just trying to get it all done before the boarding begins. So a little bit unrealistic here, but just trying to speed this tutorial up a little bit. You might be able to see the number ticking up there a little bit clearer here. And as you can see, our passenger list is a lot of them checking in pretty quickly here. The other thing you can do too is you don't have to wait until, like, if you want to start boarding a little bit early, you can always come in here and start boarding. Now you can see the banner at the top just switched over to the boarding status. So let's jump back to our passengers. So in here, you can start to see a few of them are starting boarding. So, I mean, normally I would also start playing some announcements here, which I'll give you a sneak peek. This is kind of a future enhancement to this. It's not quite available yet, but I'm going to go ahead and start that here.
Good day, passengers. This is the pre-boarding announcement for American Airlines Flight 1988. We would like to invite passengers with small children and any passengers requiring special assistance to begin boarding at this time. Please have your boarding pass and identification ready. Regular boarding will begin shortly. Thank you.
Yeah, so normally you'd obviously start that a little bit sooner than you're ready to be boarding. But as you're boarding, you can start to see here that we have people starting to move through boarding. Not seated yet, so there's actually boarding and seated. So it's usually about, I think it's set it to about 2 minutes after they start boarding that they'll be seated. You can also see that their bags are starting to get randomly loaded, so they're not in the same order as the passengers. It's just kind of a random order from the baggage loader. So for some added realism here, let's actually...
We are now inviting those passengers in Group 1, our first class, business class passengers, and American Airlines Advantage members, to begin boarding. Please use the priority lane marked at the gate for your convenience.
I'm actually just going to get the jetway connection and
Ground American
baggage.
1988, could you please connect the jetway to the aircraft?
American 1988, the jetway is going to be connected.
Ground American 1988, could you please send the baggage?
American 1988 baggage is on the way.
Ground American 1988, could you please send the catering truck?
American 1988, the catering truck is on the road.
We would now like to continue the boarding process with Group 2. Group 2, you are now invited to board the plane. We ask that you please have your boarding pass and identification ready as you approach the gate.
Alright, just wanted to get these connected. So again, you normally would have gotten this all set up before we even started boarding. This is really just to demo the features of this passenger manifest here, the live boarding. So let me turn the screen back on here. So, you'd have this open on another screen here, like a tablet or, laptop, whatever side screen you want to use. And you can actually go in and see all of your passenger status. So anything in pink here means they're boarding, green means they're already seated, and you can see their bag status here on the right. So yeah, again, we wouldn't just sit here and watch this, obviously. We'd continue getting our flight plan set up, things like that, but you can at any point kind of come in here and see what the status is of your boarding. So yeah, we will actually let this go ahead and finish, and then once this is complete, we'll...
We now welcome Group 3 and Group 4 passengers to proceed for immediate boarding. Please have your boarding passes ready for a quick boarding process.
Ground Airbus November 79er 27 Foxtrot requesting pushback. Airbus November 79er 27 Foxtrot pushback request accepted.
Alright, so yeah, as I was saying, we would normally be going into flight planning, things like that, while this is going on, and then once we're ready to leave the gate, we would obviously check to make sure all of our passengers are boarded, we can check doors are closed, things like that. So yeah, so we will just kind of wait here for this to finish, and I will fast forward in the recording, but once this is done, we'll come back and take a look at what deboarding looks like. Catch you in a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, the board...
Alright, so you can see the boarding took a little bit longer, we're actually delayed, so we're going to move through some of the other stats here, and then we're going to move forward. We're going to skip the flight and just kind of pretend that, we landed, we're ready for deboarding. Let me open up Flight Dash here. And let's jump to our passengers. So we can see here, everyone is now seated. All of our bags are loaded. You can see the full stats of everything green here. Everyone's seated, all the bags are loaded. So now, we would obviously go through the next phases of our flight. So let's go to our controller and flight stats. We're now boarding. We're finished boarding. We've moved to departed. At this point, you know, all of our passengers are just going to basically stay on the plane. So we don't have the stats at the top of the banner any longer, but we have, you know, our time during our flight. So we can see that we've departed up here. We would be landing in quite a few hours, it looks like. So, you know, we'd go through our flight at this point. Then we'd get to the point where we are, you know, we'd land. So we'd switch to landed after we touch down at the runway. Same type of thing. We're obviously way ahead of time because we're not actually flying, but you can see our banner up here has switched to landed, arriving at gate, and
Ground Airbus November 0688 Golf requesting pushback. Airbus November 0688 Golf pushback request accepted.
ATC interrupting. Okay, so yeah, normally arriving at gate would not be 4 hours because again, we're not actually doing the flight. So just pretend that we've landed, and then, you know, now we've arrived at the gate. So we're going to switch to arrived at gate. And at this point, you can see the status at the top has switched to arrived at gate. We would have a time here. So at this point, you know, we didn't actually do the flight, so it's saying we're ahead 4 hours and 2 minutes, landing on time. So that would normally not be that dramatic, but again, we're skipping the flight portion. And then deboarding status here. So we haven't begun deboarding yet, but you can see that our full passengers are still there, and then also the bags are at, you know, full capacity. So I'm going to go ahead and begin deboarding. Let's actually try doing it a little bit more realistic this time. Let me actually connect the or get the bags coming again here. Let's go ahead and start deboarding. Browser here, so I'm just going to come to the flight stats controller and click begin deboarding, and let's jump to our passenger list. Alright, so this time, you know, when you think about deboarding a plane, it's usually front cabin first, you know, getting out in kind of in order basically. So this time it's going to be a little bit less random. You can actually see here that people are now deboarding the plane in order of seating. So from front to back. You can see also at the banner the number going down, all of your stats here too. Bags, however, are still going to be unloaded in a random order, so you'll start seeing people's bags being unloaded, and then in a couple minutes they'll actually change to baggage claim status as well. So we'll just kind of let this do its thing for a little bit. So deboarding will typically be about a 10-minute process, deboarding the plane. So depending on how many passengers you have, it's pretty much timed out, at least this first iteration, to take about 10 minutes to get everyone fully off the plane. And then bags, they'll all be unloaded within that same time frame. They'll usually start showing up at baggage claim. Each bag is about 2 minutes after it has been unloaded. So you can imagine some of these people who deboarded. This person here, Ariel Mendoza, is at the front of the plane. She deboarded. She had a few bags, so she's probably already on her way to baggage claim. Not all of her bags are there yet. One of them has been unloaded, and 2 of them are still on the plane loaded. Alright, and we can start seeing some of them have made it to baggage claim. Let's just scroll down and take a look. Yep, the white status here is baggage claim, so they are ready to be picked up. So yeah, that's about it. After this status, you know, you're just going to, you know, you can have this open, but it's just going to continue until it's done. And this is the last phase of the passenger manifest. So once everyone's off, these will obviously all say deboarded. All of the bags should be unloaded or in baggage claim. And that is about it for the new passengers feature. So thanks for watching, and everyone have a great rest of your weekend.